Hey,
Richard,
how's it going?
today was not the best of days. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Today's like a vacation. Today and tomorrow are related to 4th of July vacation, so it's like a 4-day weekend.
Yeah, it's nice. People are having a long weekend because of Canada Day.
Yeah. I don't know. Today I talked, like I opened a new like Chase bank account, and they give you some free like financial advice. So I talked to like a financial advisor and gave them like all my statements, and they just gave me different advice about the big things they mentioned. Well, the big one was like something called like tax loss harvesting, which I guess is kind of complicated, but uh, if you pay like you can pay like a 1% fee for some company to do it for you, and you sort of earn capital loss while like you basically can invest in the S&P 500 while earning capital loss, which you can then at any point in the future use to like offset your income tax. So that seems more of like an advanced thing, but you have to pay like a fee to get a company to do it for you. Uh, and I guess that was the main thing that they mentioned.
Yeah, I guess when I sell stuff, I'm gonna probably have to look into that kind of harvesting tax losses and shit. I mean, I'm kind of doing that with Wealthsimple already, just carrying it forward because I don't really need to do that, but
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think that like an individual doing it themselves, you could do a little bit, but this seemed like you could pay some company money and they'll like replicate the S&P 500 by buying on your behalf like one stock of every of the top 500 companies, and then they have like managers that execute like the trades so that they buy and sell at the same value when certain stocks drop, and they're able to like even like the interesting thing is that in a bad year you end up making like a lot of you end up harvesting like a lot of capital loss in a bad year, which you can then use to lower your income tax. And so it's sort of like a if the stock goes up, that's good. If it goes down, it's good, sort of thing. So that's
yeah, but
interesting. But it seems
why,
like
why would you sell if it's low? Like,
yeah, because if you well you sell and you it's like a weird thing where you sell and buy right after one another. So it's like you sell and buy at the same price. But I guess if you bought the stock for 100 originally and then it dropped down to like $10, you could sell and then rebuy at $10, and that would count as like a $90 loss, which you could then and you'd still hold the stock. Like right, you'd have this like theoretical loss of $90, you'd still hold the stock. So it goes back up eventually, but at any point in the future, you can claim like $90 off your income tax, or like like you can offset your income by $90. So you're paying like I don't know whatever the income tax rate is times $90 less of income tax at some future point.
hmm.
But then I think there's I think it's actually quite hard to buy and like to sell and then rebuy at the same price. So you basically have to like have a firm like do it for you, and then not it's not often that like you'd have to watch the stocks every day to see when they drop and know when to call it. So pretty much you'd have to like pay a management firm to like manage it for you, and then at that they'll charge like a fee and there's like minimum buy-in. So then it's sort of like inaccessible. It's sort of like something that like if I ever was in a position where I had like an accountant working on my behalf, maybe I would have them like look into it. But I don't even know if I'd because it's hard to tell if it's worth. You have to sort of know like how much tax could you save in the future to know if it's worth the fee.
It's not worth it. Any fee is not worth it, man.
Yeah,
Right
yeah,
off the
it's like
bat.
yeah, it's yeah, it ends up being like maybe you make some money but not enough to be worth the trouble or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my 2 cents. I think when it comes to investing and all that good stuff, it's better to just invest and forget. As long as you got the right stuff. But people who move their money around and try to day trade and pick the best stocks, sorry, you're not going to win. Most people don't.
Yeah.
So it's just simple. I just keep it simple. When I put money in, I aim for like a 5-year horizon if I go with stocks. And I don't need to do anything less because, well, I'm young. So things can be volatile without it impacting me.
Any like projects on the go for you?
Me, just same old, consolidating. Just, sold Ottawa, moved to BC, back in Toronto area right now. I mean, honestly, like I'm just enjoying old video games and working on my natural path supplement course. Taking it easy.
What video games?
One's called Super Conflict for Super NES for Super Nintendo. Yeah, good shit. And the other one is Desert Strike.
Figure out how to like stream a video game.
Nah, I don't want people to watch me play. It's not my thing.
Yeah, sometimes. A few times now, I've I do a screen recording when I play, and I give my thoughts or something, and that's sort of fun. If I like a game a lot, it's fun to have like some footage of me playing it for memories, mostly. But yeah, streaming live would be different. I've never attempted that.
Yeah, not my thing.
Yeah, streaming is like intensive too. It slows the computer a lot. And then the one time I tried streaming and the quality of the video was kind of low, and I wasn't clear what if I had to change a setting or something.
Like when I try to if I try to like cast to my Roku stick or whatever, like I find that there's no point because the image is delayed no matter how good the internet is. Like my internet's pretty much top and it's still like delayed, still shit.
Like like streaming a game, like casting a game.
No, just like what do you call it? Just a show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like slow and choppy, and I plug an HDMI cord, and it's fine.
Huh. Yeah, you'd think. I guess there should be something like buffering it. Like if it's trying to like stream in real time, I guess that's where it would be laggy and weird.
Yeah. I don't know. It could be just a app that I'm using. Anyway, yeah, today was a rough day, man. Today was a rough day. Too many stressors. There's something about being in Toronto, the pollution, the traffic, the fucking people. I don't know. I'm tired of being in it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I had to get away.
SF.
I grabbed my bike and I took my foreigner down to Scarborough where I grew up as a kid. And I took the bike to the bluffs and I went down the bluffs, scaled down them, and there's like a nude beach down there, and I kind of just walked around and there's a whole bunch of people, but still had my shorts on, but it was nice still to, get some sun.
Do you pick up like lunch somewhere when you do that?
No, I already had lunch before I left.
Yeah.
Yeah, but something about just going back to old, was it thumping? I don't know what people say.
Oh yeah.
Old
something
thumping grounds. I don't understand the expression. But I've been Yeah, stomping. There you go. So it's like I
Well,
find
yeah, I
that
still don't know why they say that.
what soothes me is going back to my simpler days. Like going back to childhood days
Yeah.
where I'm playing old video games. I'm going back to the areas I used to visit, checking it out. Just I don't know. I don't know what it is. I was ignorant back then. I had no fucking clue what was going on with the world. Things were different. And I guess when
Yeah.
I'm back there, I know too much now. I know way too much.
Yeah, knowledge is like a poison that it makes us like pessimistic uh and like discouraged. Like
And
always
I don't,
yeah.
yeah, I don't want to be pessimistic or negative or cynical. And it's just, I see the forest for what it is.
Mhm.
I see the forest for the trees or whatever. I can see us like as slaves in our gilded cages, and I just don't want to be a slave. I want to be free.
Yeah, and yeah, for like ourselves it's kind of possible. It's disappointing though to see, like, thinking about how many people are stuck in their situation, and how, like, if you sort of like do the math on, like, if we changed all the policies to the right ones today, so many people, it would take so long to like get to a point where everyone can sort of just have like a relaxed life, if it's even possible at all. And that's kind of, it's like disappointing knowing that like we're just gonna like watch that slowly unfold, and like quality of life is gonna stay about the same or go downhill during our lifetime. That's what it feels like. And then like at the end of our lives, we're just like, there'll be a bunch of new people around doing like the same mistakes again, and we'll just be like, this clearly never ends. Like this cycle.
Well, it's not going to end until our populations get nuked and reduced. No, really, like, I don't want people to die. That's not it. But I do think we need to stop procreating at the rates that we are, and our population over time does need to die out and to stop consuming. We are truly a cancer, a parasite on this planet, and we're not
Yeah,
doing
and
it any
even
good.
yeah, even if that's sort of like a cycle, like there'll be an increase in like diseases and stuff, and a shortages, and that will create like a cycle where the population will dip, and then for a while, and then it'll like bounce back eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad that it's like, it really seems like a situation where there's like no adults in the room. Like there's not a whole lot of responsible leaders on the world stage that really have like, that are aligning us in the right direction. It just seems like there's a couple of good people that are like not listened to, and the bad ones are like talking the loudest. And that's annoying, because it just sort of is like watching like a bunch of children like argue and wishing like an adult would step in, but there's no, in the world there's no like adult authority that could just kind of like set things fair onto a fair course.
I kind of hope that AI will take over. You see enough movies about it where AI takes over, like on the 100 and how he like basically nukes the planet. Again, there's a more humane way to do it. If you're supposed to better humanity and not kill it, basically wiping out most of the population isn't the way to make things better. But like, if it could control us and take care of us, because we're not able to do it. The systems are all like driven by greed.
Yeah, it's sort of, I wonder, like some kind of super intelligence could establish like a better set of rules that humans themselves can run, and then maybe like that would be interesting. Like it comes up with like a better style of government system, and then once it like installs that, it can sort of just like step back, and then humans just run like this alternative government system that does deliver them what they want and is fair in terms of respecting voices. And maybe like, there's like a system of education to teach people about how it works and stuff. And then things are just like on a better, or like as good as we've seen things in the past. You could sort of take all that stuff and mix it together and then have something like that.
It's like, what would be the reason to keep us alive if we're ultimately killing the planet? And I'm just like, maybe there's something that we can do when we're freed from. So we don't really need. I guess machines could eventually just do everything that's like manual labor or whatever else. But I suspect there's certain things that humans and only humans can do that we are better suited for. And maybe we could be encouraged, like food and everything else is good and healthy, water is fine and purified, but we are free to pursue the sciences to further our knowledge. And maybe AI could probably do that, but can it theorize? Am I saying the word right? I don't know. Can it do what we do? Can it actually like come up with these crazy ideas and basically try to prove it as correct or not correct? I mean, I imagine it could, but perhaps by having us around, us being highly educated, merged with AI, perhaps we would be capable of more, greater things instead of just the pursuit of power and greed or wealth.
That's something I wonder about the merging point. I feel like if we merge with technology, then we become like post-human, and then it's sort of like the era of true humans like ends, and the human only pursuits and the height of like human mind is sort of like done, and then we've sort of replaced ourselves by enhancing ourselves with some kind of new species that has like a different story. But essentially I think at that point like humans are extinct, and that's kind of like then there's sort of like the question of should we like keep some some pure humans around, like maybe even Earth remains like pure humans, and we don't like merge anyone on Earth, but then maybe there's like another planet where you can go to where there's further innovation and like a new species, but there's maybe some value in keeping around, like I don't know, like the Earth becomes like a zoo for us, the current all current humanity.
I would like to see something like Star Trek Next Generation, where it's like we're into the future, we got over our shit and our need to kill each other. We have the ability to replicate food, water. We have advanced tech, and we can just explore the stars, seek out new life. Because that would give us a sense of purpose. It would create a need for hierarchy and structure. Because you need to have a chain of command in that setting, because that's what works. And we would put our resources to expanding and to growing as a species.
Yeah, that's actually a part of Star Trek that I don't know. Yeah, I know there's like a chain of command, and I guess they never really talk about it, but like do people get salaries, and do they have like vacation, or is everyone like motivated by just the pursuit of science, and like people can use the holodeck essentially, and so they're content with just working their like stations?
They're there because they want to be there, and they get shore time, yeah. But for whatever reason,
you like the shore time?
all the time. Yeah, it's different
That's
episodes where they go down and they have their time, and sometimes there's a little bit of drama.
That would be neat. That's
Happens
like a
that.
slice of life. Like just like what did the Star Trek crew do on their shore time? That's kind of interesting stories.
Mm-hmm. And like, is there money? There's no need for money because they have all this advanced tech. They can have all the food that they want, all the recreation that they could ever want with the simulators. It's like they don't really have any needs. Maybe to meet a companion or something like that could be one of the needs that they still have. But it's what they're doing is they're doing their field, what they're interested in, and enjoying that job, and they're there because they want to be there for the most part. Like, I imagine they want to be there. Like getting in the academy and doing space exploration, it's maybe not everybody can get in. I don't know. But I think like putting our energy into something that's greater than us, besides like working for a fucking conglomerate that's just making money, like the pursuit of humanity's knowledge, I think that's worthwhile. I think we get money and greed out of the way, we could attain some pretty incredible things. But there's
and
just
even stuff that like I was thinking today about like non-measurable stuff as like something that humanity can do is like make progress in directions that are not measurable in any sort of way as like a metric. And like if we're measuring everything in like money or something like that, then we can't ever really we can't get a sense for what kind of progress can be made in just like the growth of the human spirit or something.
yeah, it seems like those who drive progress and change, well, they're the ones that are mostly rewarded for assuming the risk. But it's like a disproportionate amount. Like people become multimillionaires, billionaires. And then they pay someone a salary that's most of the time less than 150K, and I guess that's a livable wage in some places, so much Toronto, but like
it seems like the risk, like a lot of people they're not really taking on like risk for those positions. It's sort of like it's like whoever's willing to allow a bunch of like minimum wage workers to be like abused on their behalf, like that's kind of the burden that like to get paid like wealthy amounts, that's the burden you take on, is like just abusing other people, and then people like self-select out of that and accept like a lower wage so that they don't have to be the ones that are like directly to blame for overworking people.
Well, I don't like capitalism. Apparently it works. It keeps people motivated. Carrot and the stick almost. So I see money. And for why? Just so that we can have nice houses, pay your bills, buy shit, so that, we feel good. I don't know. At what cost? In an attempt to keep costs low, and we outsource to China and, give them all the wealth over time. And their population is just out of control.
Yeah, I've heard the like the term neoliberalism is used for like trying to find the cheapest labor on the planet and then connect it all together with like shipping, like container shipping, but then privatizing all like public, like what used to be public, like energy grids and water and everything is all like private companies, and they all they sort of like cheap out on everything possible to make a profit. And then we have like a global system where like as we saw, like a single ship getting stuck in like a canal somewhere can just like delay shipping to the entire world and close businesses. And there's like it's not a very robust system, and it's just sort of, it's like it's enabling people to survive with lower and lower wages because we can like get this cheaper stuff, but it's like cheaper food that's less healthy, and then uh
Or
it's sort
cheaper
of all
products.
everything is like held together so loosely that it gets like completely destroyed by any sort of turbulence that's like a storm or something can just like throw off the whole system, and there's no fail safe or robustness.
I guess the reason why this model exists is because you could have the labor here in Canada, but then now you have Canadian employees and unions and bullshit, and you got to like deal with that hot mess. Where if you just find a company from China and have them do it all, it's not your thing to take care of, and they have different rules. They don't give a shit about their people. And so I suppose the reason why it exists the way it does, and we're not just employing Canadians or Americans, it's because it's just easier to not do that and to give everything to China. But like, at what cost in the end? Like getting cheaper products, there's human rights issues.
Yeah, I heard an interesting fact about the company like Huawei, like the Chinese tech company Huawei. What's that?
I don't know.
Yeah, some like they make a bunch of like routers and cell phones, and they're sort of like a big tech company that's privately owned in China. And I heard this fact that like one of the core tenets of Huawei, this big tech company in China, is that like they have in their company ethos that no employee will ever have like job protection regardless of how long they've worked there or what they've contributed, because they want like a culture of like everyone has to show up and contribute just as much all the time, and you can never like ride on your previous contributions to stay there longer. Like you'll get fired if you're not contributing, and that's like the vibe they want. But then China introduced this rule that said that any employee that's been at a company for longer than 10 years gets like extra job security or protection. And then it seemed like the like 6,000 employees of Huawei like took it upon themselves to like resign and then rejoin their job in order to like reset their tenure, to like protest the additional job security that they would have gotten under this like new regulation. Like even I think the CEO even like temporarily quit and rejoined so that he didn't have like job security. And it was this weird moment of like sometimes you see like a system like that and you're like workers are being repressed, but then it comes from like the other direction too. Like workers that don't know any better like repress themselves as like a show of loyalty to like a system. And so it's like it's an interesting thing where in the heads like everyone's been sort of educated to believe that they serve the country and the company, and they will actually like refuse rights as a show of like pride in the system or the country, which is a weird. Or of course, like they could sort of be like socially pressured into it or look down upon if they don't like.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's a social pressure.
Yeah. Either way, it's interesting. Like, because you'd think like 6,000 employees would get together and all take the rights to show that like it's doable and they can all do it, but they unionize to give themselves less rights in some sense.
Well, some people can't be helped. You can literally give somebody all the solutions and all the knowledge, and they'll still fucking jump off the deep end and drown themselves. I don't know. It's just surprised it's an entire grouping of people like that. In the end, I think our population's too big. We were not meant to grow this big. and it goes against their very nature to to be a part of a collective that's this big, to have the rule of law, to have the state own us. It's honestly, it's against their nature, and it's why I wanted to shoot myself in the face today after being stuck in traffic because some fucking monkey rear-ended somebody else and then blocked the Don Valley Parkway. And it's just like, it's not just that alone. It's the pollution. It's the heat. It's being surrounded by people. I see them all coming in my direction. I see them and their beards or their hairstyle or whatever. And they're all people. And I feel like they're all just brainwashed and slaves to the system. And I feel so alone, even though I'm driving by thousands of people. Because it's just, they're all... And when I look at the highway system, I see like an artery. And the vehicles are like the blood cells performing some function, whether it be like transporting oxygen or nutrients to whichever cell organization that needs to be maintained to keep the body going. That's kind of how I see things now.
Yeah.
And like just the more I know, the more cynical I get. And the more it just reaffirms that our population is too big. And I fuck, this is just Toronto. The States and their cities. Like, I've been to Manhattan. I got an idea on how dense the populations are. I haven't been to China or any of those places, but I imagine I would not. I'd be even less pleased.
Yeah, there's a crazy city. There was like, that like city where it's like a city that it's like a bunch of skyscrapers built like right next to each other, so that the city is just like a cube, but they like shut it down. But there's still on YouTube, there's like footage of people that had walked around with a camera like before it shut down. And it was just like, these like, I don't know, 60-story tall skyscrapers that were all like interconnected in this massive, so it was like a city-sized like cube where everything was just like indoors. And it just looks like very like dystopian, like futuristic, that there's just like these endless hallways of corridors like inside. People can you can go like from your apartment to the grocery store to the hair cutter, like to your place of work, all like inside this building, because it's all just like interconnected.
Sounds like my Sim City. I have like the Omega buildings, and I just like I have like a vertical farm in the middle that rotates. It's as tall as the skyscrapers, but like it's basically just skyscrapers, these futuristic buildings, and then when you put them side by side, they have like connecting corridors and stuff, and it's basically just a big cube. Something like that in my game.
That's cool that games allow for stuff like that. Like, it almost feels like the game designer couldn't have anticipated it, but somehow the systems allow these kind of things.
Yeah, it's a long time. It's taken me a long time to build this thing, because it's all about paywalls and try to trap us or try to make some money off of our need to have instant gratification. But yeah, no, this city's been a slow burn over 10 years.
Is it the actual game Sim City?
Sim City build it, yeah. It's my capital. I've like just getting the expansion items to get like a different grid opened up. Because like you can kind of work your way north or up, and you can work your way right. And the city has a limit, and I think they do expand it once in a while. But yeah, it's like, and as you progress to the right, it requires more and more expansion items for every grid that you open. So now I'm like, every grid requires 20 of each of the 3 expansions. That's 60 items that you have to get just to fucking open a grid, which takes forever. Anyway, all I have to say is like there's that, but then actually like building and upgrading the futuristic buildings are super resource intensive, and they require like a tremendous amount of utilities to maintain. And everything kind of feeds into each other where you can only move at a super slow molasses pace. Because if you outpace any of the resources that are required, the Sims will just abandon the building, and then it counts for nothing. So you need drones, you need a control net, you need to have power, sewage, water, and waste recycling. And each of the buildings require like a shit ton. So it's a nice time waster.
And that's like, is that like iOS? Is that why it has like the paywall stuff?
Yeah, it's on Apple, I think Android as well.
Yeah, that was a whole interesting era of the like micro transaction games. I wonder like if you gave every player a choice, like after somebody plays a game for like a couple hours, give them a choice of like a $20 or a $60 like flat rate to make the game like, infinitely playable, like a lifetime subscription kind of thing, or like a lifetime membership to the game, or let them like, continue free to play but have these micro purchases. I feel like a lot, like if I like a game, I would rather pay like an upfront fee of like a regular game price to just have the game be like well designed and free, open, playable, and not crazy time limits, rather than pay as I go. Yeah.
Well, like, I don't mind the subscription model, like RuneScape, for instance, where you have a free to play and you can still have enjoyment, but there are limitations. And like, I don't mind it too much because I do believe that people should be compensated for their time and energy, like maintaining the servers and infrastructure and, debugging. And so it's like, yeah, you got to make some money. You can't just do everything for free. I don't mind that. Like, I'm actually thinking about getting back into RuneScape. My buddy's gonna lend me his like maxed out character on RuneScape 3. The only condition is I can't change the login credentials. It's fine. Like, that's perfectly fair.
What's the advantage for you in that case? What are you gonna do with the character?
Well, I get to experience and I can see end game content, and that gives me an idea of what to expect, and so what I'm working towards in the end. So like I did that for ESO online, Elder Scrolls Online. Like I had people help me get to end game very quickly, and like they taught me the mechanics. They taught me how to build armor and do this and do that. It became like a fucking legendary tank at only like level 20. Because that game is like, yeah, there's certain areas you can't enter, like veteran content, but at level 20, I was able to like properly tank everything and control crowds and buff my team and, lead successful raids just because I knew how to tank. Like, I can literally control the enemies and where they go, and but that's because I had some help. And so I got all the experience up front, and my character eventually just caught up, and then I could figure out where to go to get the most experience points. So I didn't have to do as much of a grind, and
yeah. So
it looks like just gave me something to work towards. So like if I'm with RuneScape, everything's like exponentially every tier. So you go from like bronze to iron to steel. There's some shit in between. Then there's like mithril and adamantium, and then there's rune. And then you go into dragon and other shit that I can't remember. But going from adamantite to rune, huge cost difference. Huge defense and offense increase between every tier. And when you go from Rune to Dragon, it's that much more extravagant, the gap and the cost.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, before they migrated over to RuneScape 3 from the old school version. Oh man, that guy almost just, I'm driving home right now, that guy almost just took my fucking side off. Wow. He's a fucking idiot. He just like went between two cars. That's illegal. That's illegal. Motorcycle, that's one thing. But as a full SUV, don't pull that shit. I have never seen that before. He just went between two vehicles, like right on the
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Is there even enough space? Like what?
I don't. I keep pretty much like probably took the paint off the guy's mirror because wow. Anyway, yeah, but when I moved over, before I moved over, I was like, I saw the dragon shit, and I'm like, oh, I need to get that, and I'm just like, how much? It's like 2 million gold. I'm like, what? For one piece? That's more than I fucking have. That's. I bought my fucking rune set for less than that, and it's just 2 million now for one. Like, I'm just saying a number, but it's the idea, right? Like, so
yeah, there's like the exponential increase. I guess every game has some kind of math that they do to make the player feel like the next level is at first, like I guess that's the ideal flow is like at first it's shocking, it looks far away, but then it is attainable, and that's the excitement of like just feeling like it's impossible, but then you achieve it, but then they have to replicate that every time, and the numbers always have to go up, but like the pacing has to remain a certain way. And yeah, games are like that. Yeah, good games have good math.
well, like as you increase in level, the amount of experience points that you need goes through the roof. Like I'm at like level 70 something mining, and basically it's gonna take all the experience points I've earned to date to go to the next level. It's like what? It's
But
like
then, what do you think in terms of time? Like, what's the number of hours that you have to invest for each level? Does that stay fairly constant?
no, every level now
It goes
it's
up?
like I was exaggerating there with like it's all the experience I've ever acquired. No, it goes from like you can gain maybe um a shit ton of levels, like a whole ton of levels in an hour, and then you can like get a ton of levels in a day, and then if you grind all day, you might get a level, and then it's
Right.
like a week to get a level. And I don't know, I
And then
never
it's
got that far.
like equipment is kind of like that too. Like like you're going through a lot of different tiers of equipment, and then they slow down, I imagine.
And they slow down, yeah. To go from like adamantite or adamantium to rune, huge gap. And like to be able to wear the rune plate, you have to go on like this dragon slaying mission to have the rights to actually wear it. And I don't know if it's the same shit for the dragon stuff where you have to like learn how to craft it yourself in order to make it, because you just can't buy it from shops, but you can buy it off other players, which makes things more complicated if you're an Ultimate Iron Man, because Ultimate Iron Man can't pick up dropped items, can't take the items of like the kill items from other players. So if they beat a monster and there's an item drop, you can't take their shit. You can't use the banks. Everything that you have is in your inventory is it. So it's like true minimalist where I have a rune pickaxe, the armor that I'm wearing, law runes, nature runes, because I don't know where to buy those, and I pick them up after killing ogres. And I got my pile of gold, and the rest of my inventory is for like whatever I'm doing. If I'm mining, I'll mine until it's full, and then I'll sell it to a fucking dwarf, and then accumulate more coin. But it's like that's it. So people will like drop stuff up at a bank, buy stuff on the market. I don't have access to the market. I don't have access. It's all self-contained on my character. So I take a lot of pride in the fact that I got mostly rune armor and I got like this purple crystal mace, which is the best weapon that I can get next to the rune. I never can say this word, Skymatar. It's like a fucking Middle Eastern knife that has the fastest DPS.
Oh yeah. There must be in-person conventions for, I guess, RuneScape. There must be like an actual RuneScape convention.
Probably.
Would you ever buy like little statues or some kind of merch associated with it?
Yeah, I would support them. I think it's a fond memory from my high school days. I just wish that I wasn't in a group home and I could have played more. It would have been even more antisocial.
Yeah, I wonder what's going on in terms of like at the like I guess there's probably panels from the devs or different like talks at a RuneScape convention. I don't know. I guess they wouldn't have like a talk about bots maybe because they wouldn't like they wouldn't endorse that. But maybe there's like an artist alley.
There are bots though. They're like mining and shit. But yeah, I think that it can get you in trouble if you get caught.
Yeah, I've always heard that. Yeah, they ban the accounts.
But I mean, if it's just a bot, who fucking cares if they ban the account, right? Like, how are they going to trace it back to you? You're not going to use the same email. You're going to use different emails. Yeah. And you put it into a bank, and then eventually, I guess they just do a bulk transfer to the main. I don't know how it works, but they probably would trace it if they really cared.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to get back into it. And like you just thinking about, I listen to RuneScape music. Like there's orchestra versions of the songs, which are really good. I find it very peaceful. But that's what I do now in my old age. It's I reminisce about simpler times, easier times. Well,
yeah, that is pretty
easier,
cool. Yeah, yeah, like reminiscing about simpler times. That makes me want to like create some kind of like that's what my idea of like making my childhood home in Blender was like maybe that would be a good thing to have. So if I wanted to write story or game about simpler times in my childhood home, like I'd have a model like rendered. And I got something, but I'm not like good enough at Blender to really make it anything more than just like rectangles.
What's Blender?
It's just like a 3D modeling application, but it's like open source and free. And so you can like place like you can do stuff that's simple like placing cubes in 3D, and then you can like resize them, shape them, and then you can also you can bring in like very high res models and deform them like clay or whatever, or paint them, and then you can animate stuff. And it's sort of it's like an application that could fully make like worlds for a 3D game or character animations or anything.
Ooh. Lots of potential.
Yeah, it's a fun application to learn how to use, and you can put like lighting and stuff in there too. You can have like reflective surfaces, lighting, glowing surfaces, so you can make some cool environments.
Nice. Yeah.
Any movies you watched recently?
I've been working on The Mandalorian, the 100.
Oh yeah.
Movies though. Oh yeah, The Good Boys. That was pretty funny.
I haven't heard of that, I think.
Oh yeah, it's a bunch of like 5th graders, 5th graders going to the 6th graders. It's like life from their perspective in like modern days. They get like, because like I grew up and I didn't have a phone and any of that shit. But it's like just how they're navigating the world, and the shit that they say is hilarious because they don't know what they're saying.
Yeah.
But it's pretty funny. I mean, they probably know what they're saying. No, I don't know. But like in the movie, it's like they're saying stuff and they just don't understand the meanings. And they're so like, they're like, oh yeah, but they're completely confused. Like it's great. I thought it was a series, and was like happy with the length of the episode, and then it ended. I'm like, no, I need more of these kids.
So it's just like one episode?
It's just a movie. I thought it was a series, man. Like I was hoping it was. My buddy put it on there, and I laughed a lot.
Yeah, I wish we had more. I always want more different stuff. That sounds like a fairly unique thing, and I wish there was just a lot more like unique. Because then, yeah, it always feels like we're running out of stuff, and we want more of things, and we don't. It's like we have no way to indicate to companies like make more of this, then and we'll buy it. They just kind of like do random experiments all the time.
Well, I mean, I don't know if there's a way to like show. Well, there's viewers. Like if there's a lot of viewers on a show, that sort of shows them that hey, it's popular and make more.
But it's like by the time we even learn about these shows, they've already made a decision. Like like no one even.
Oh, there's that. Yeah. Like Firefly, that deserved more. And they made a movie Serenity because the fans wanted it, but no, they needed more Firefly, space movie exploration kind of thing.
Yeah, there was like I guess there was like an era where like there was sort of an era of television of like space exploration. Then yeah, I guess the trends always someone said that like 2025 was like the year of the samurai, or it was supposed to be that like a bunch of samurai related content was going to come out, and maybe some did and not then it didn't. But now there's a show on some streaming platform called Mountainhead, and it's like four billionaires that go to like a mountain lodge, and they all like run like AI companies, and then the world sort of gets into like turmoil, and they see on the news that like their companies are responsible for like the whole world is like in conflict, and then they start brainstorming like how can they use this to essentially like take over the world. But it's just like modern day tech bro billionaires talking about like becoming the new emperors of the world by just like buying up the scraps of the countries that are now in chaos because of their companies. So that's kind of like that's maybe like that's like a very modern. That feels a very like modern critiquing today sort of show. I guess that's what's because there was also like Succession was a little bit like this the power families dynamic of the modern era.
Yeah, I wonder if my podcast TLDR was talking about this.
Yeah.
Does the guy who plays the office manager, what the hell is his name?
Yeah, Michael Scott.
Yeah, he plays in it?
Yeah, he's in it. He's one of the four. He's like one of the four billionaire main guys, yeah.
Yeah, that's the one they were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, they I don't know. I think it was like almost too real for the guys. I think they were saying like because like this could actually really happen.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. Like the psychology of those people is just like very removed from the world, like billionaires that is, and then it's just like it's too believable that you could just grab four people like that into a cabin and they would have that much power and not have any sort of attachment to the like they would kind of like one of them is labeled like a sociopath in terms of like someone they said like his character is kind of like the richest of the billionaires they said is definitely like a sociopath in terms of how he understands like human emotion or something.
You don't have to be a billionaire to be a sociopath. Like just power itself corrupts people. It gives them acquired sociopathy to the extent of it. I don't know. My own mother, I think, has it from the COVID high of, she bought a property before COVID. It sat empty because she wasn't ready to move into it. And every fucking buddy and their dog was like tracking her down to throw obscene amounts of money at her for this farm south of Ottawa. And she sold it and made bank. And she's been riding that high ever since. And she's a fucking asshole to the rest of the family. And she kept thinking that the market was going to keep doing that. And well, surprise, it's not. And she was buying them blind without inspecting them and shit. And she's been hemorrhaging all the money she gained and then some. She's lost our generational wealth, frankly. On her side, it hasn't touched mine, but it's like, but she's still acting like a fucking sociopath. She's like just an asshole and not responding to messages or calls and only calling or texting when she needs something. It's she's very, very disconnected. Yeah, it's. And once I read about acquired sociopathy, I'm like, oh, that sounds like her and many other people I've come across in my time.
Yeah,
Senior military officers.
Yeah, power. Yeah, power and money definitely attract that kind of person and also amplify the traits. It would seem, yeah.
I don't want power. That's the thing. It's like people said, oh, I'm the best leader because I actually don't seek out or want power. And like when I have it, I do it, I use it, I wield it just to do the job that's given to me because like you kind of need power to make people do stuff if you need people to do the missions or the tasks that you have. So yeah, it makes sense, but it never corrupted me. But I was even saying to my psychologist, I'm like, you know, my need, there's a human need for most people to be a part of a family or community, to be around people. Otherwise, we get stressed because it's an evolution thing. We're weak as individuals, and so like the loneliness epidemic is seriously like hurting people and making them sick and killing people, really. And I was just like to my psychologist, I'm like, well, I don't like people. I don't want to be around people. I've been bullied all my life, and like until I was like a major, I was bullied, and I don't fucking trust people. And it's like, I don't want to be around them. And I was like, I guess. And then you said to him, like, I don't even trust you. It's like, at the end of the day, I don't trust anybody. It's like, I don't want to be around people, but my programming forces me because I get sick otherwise. It's like, I should just become a sociopath by acquiring a bunch of wealth and power and override this programming. And he was like, wow, I've never heard anybody put it that way before.
Yeah, it sounds very similar to like self-medicating with alcohol, but like self-medicating with money essentially. It's like the same like trying to it's like taking like a drug to rebalance the brain's chemicals, but in this case the drug is just money or but it's like probably the same it results with one ending up in like some kind of rehab or something. Or hopefully at least. But I guess the problem with power and money is that you would hope that someone would like have a talking to you eventually and pull you out of it. But I feel like with money and power, it's too easy to block out those people. And then it's like a drug that gives you the ability to resist like ever, getting help or something like that. That's an interesting perspective actually, like that yeah, like money is like a drug that enables you to continue using rather than like you never have like a crash out in a way that you can't like buy your way out of or something.
Well, that's just it. It's like, yeah. Like, what's his face? Was it one of the presidents? No, it was one of the prime ministers. Which prime minister was it? No. This is American side. Sorry. So Biden apparently during his younger days, I think he sexually assaulted a woman and the Biden family or whatever. Is that his last name or first name? I can't even. Yeah, it's his last name.
Joe. Yeah, Joe is.
Yeah. But Biden family, money, power, and people disappeared that were involved with like the case or paid off. So
yeah, there must be like no rich family in existence that doesn't have something like that. But it's kind of wild. But you'd have to be to sort of like allow your family to like do work like that. which would be like necessary. Like if you have money and family name, people will come after you, so you have to like fight back. But then to sort of like go in the public eye and like really pretend like not account for it, not just be like, yeah, we did what we had to do and we're sorry, but like try to any sort of hiding it or dismissing, like pretending that you're sort of like cleaner than you are, seems like a psychologically hard thing to do unless one has like a little bit of like sociopathy in them.
Well, that's just it. Like, they have the power and they don't want to be accountable. Like, I just saw in the news about what's fucking Sean P. Diddy or fuck whoever they're like on
Right.
trial for trafficking and
Like he had
sexual whatever. Like five different charges.
yeah.
I mean, how do you have 5 charges and like 3 of them are like acquitted? Like, what? Come on. If you have 5 charges for something, you must have done it. Like,
Yeah.
what is
Well,
going on?
yeah, I find it interesting the perspective that like if you have money and drugs around you and you're throwing like a party in some location and like people like show up to the party, you don't exactly know who the guests are, and then like they're doing drugs and like there's money and drugs like around, and but then later on it's like a technical crime was committed because some people were there who weren't like there voluntarily or something. It's very interesting to then be like in that position where you didn't like personally like do the trafficking, for example, or something like that, but like you've just like thrown an event where it enabled this to happen, and maybe you looked the other way at a time when you thought like you didn't have the power to stop it anyway, so don't cause trouble. It's just like it's just interesting. Then you're in court and you're sort of like, yeah, I technically did do all those crimes, but you wouldn't have known it at the time. Everyone was like laughing and smiling, and and we were in this mansion and there was like drugs, which of course every celebrity has drugs. It would be hard to like sit in front of a judge and be like, well, technically I'm guilty, but like if you only knew that every day in the life of a rich person is just all of these crimes repeating, like it's like, why am I going to jail at this particular moment? It doesn't seem to solve exactly what
Well,
happened.
that's very different than being involved with sex trafficking and prostitution and everything else.
Yeah, I
Like yeah,
imagine
I
at
had a
some point they
party
cross
in
the line where they like more actively involved, and that triggers like law enforcement. Yeah.
yeah, it's very different. Like there's a skunk right there. Seriously, bro, I don't like get sprayed today. It's a big one too.
They do a handstand apparently to warn you.
Do they?
Yeah, that's one of I watch a thing about skunks, and like when skunks are young, you'll see them like when they're babies, they're doing like handstands because that's like their first way of indicating that they're
They're
gonna
gonna
like
get you.
continue the aggression. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, but if they don't have time to do a handstand, they probably just shoot at you or something.
I don't know where it is, but I'm gonna tread carefully. Well, my friend, I gotta get going. I appreciate the chat.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah, I'll see you next time.
Next week, I'm gonna be tied up. I'm gonna be on a backpacking trip, but I'll catch you after.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Okay, bye, buddy.